Today you're going to see a variety of wreaths made very affordably for Christmas. Hi Christmas crew, and welcome back to the Cozy Christmas Cottage. My name is Shannon, and if you love Christmas, you have come to the right place. Be sure to subscribe for weekly holiday inspiration. If you're able to find this wire picture clip wreath in the wreath section at Dollar Tree, grab that. If not, no worries, grab one of the regular wreath forms. This is a 14-inch size, and you'll just attach some plastic canvas to the center of this wreath, and either one of these will work. I'm going to be using that picture clip wreath form. It does come with the binder clips on them, so you can hang your pictures on them. We're not going to need those. Take those off, set them aside for another project another day. You're also going to need some burlap ribbon. You're going to need red and the neutral kind, and lots of zip ties. For this wreath, we're going to start with our zip tie underneath the middle row, and then you're going to start with your red burlap to start creating the loops and the bunches that are going to fill up the bottom half of this wreath form. So you just make a loop and then attach it on with that zip tie. Kind of unfluff your loops as you go, so you can see that you are getting enough loops to kind of cover up the whole space. Like I said, we're going to do the whole bottom. So what are we making here? We are making a hot cocoa cup. Believe me, this turns out so adorable and it's so easy to do. You want to continue on making more loops and bunches and zip tying them to the wreath form. My best tip here is to work on the outside and then fill in the center. So like I said, we're going to do just the bottom half of this wreath form, and we're going to do the top half in that neutral color. Once you get the whole bottom half filled in, snip off any excess. I did need 2 rolls of each color for this wreath. Cut off the end and then fluff it all up. Make sure you have enough loops, and then we're going to start working on the top half, which you can see we have the circle and then those 2 bars. We're going to start this neutral burlap just like we did the red. Take your zip tie, put it underneath your wreath form, make your first loop and zip tie that down, and then you'll continue on making loops around the outside edge, filling in the center. I had to zoom out here so you could see this is a pretty good full-sized wreath once you add all that burlap on there and make sure you have good fluffy loops. We're also going to need another wreath from Dollar Tree, one of these foam wreaths, and we're just going to simply cut it in half. And if you can guess, this is going to be the handle of our hot cocoa mug. And since we had some leftover red burlap, I'm just going to simply wrap that around this wreath. And instead of gluing it, I had some thumbtacks. I'm just going to use those to hold them in place. You can even add a little bit of glue in there to make sure these don't pop back out. Next up is going to be the marshmallows for our hot cocoa mug. These are wood dice from Dollar Tree in their crafting section. We're just going to use 3 of those and paint them white. We're going to add a straw to our cup of hot cocoa, so I always keep the paper tubes that come in the wrapping paper rolls, and this is where it comes in handy. I'm going to cut this down to about 18 inches long and then use some candy cane stripe wrapping paper to wrap this up. Roll the tube in your wrapping paper, tape down the side, and then I'm going to show you how to finish off the edge. So you're going to make your wrapping paper longer than the tube, cut little slits in the end, and then push that excess wrapping paper down over the edge to the inside of the tube. That is going to hold it in place for you and give you a nice finished edge. Then we're just going to put all of these elements together on our wreath. So first up, we're going to hot glue our paper tube to the top. Obviously, the neutral side is going to be your hot cocoa. The red is going to be our mug. So keep that in mind. Make sure you have the right side up to glue your tube into. We're then going to glue our handle onto the bottom of the mug. Make sure it's all in the red spot. You don't want any of your handle up into the hot cocoa. Next, we're going to hot glue in the wood dice for the marshmallows on the top, and then I have a cute metal sign that I got from Hobby Lobby that I'm going to glue to the front. This turned out absolutely adorable. I have something coming up that I can't wait to share with you that is hot cocoa themed that I wanted to make this for. So if you love this theme, this would be a perfect wreath to add to your front door or even to a kitchen or over a hot cocoa bar. This next wreath is so incredibly easy and quick to do. You just need some ribbon and some wire. You need a lot of ribbon though. So I have some red and white stripes. Like I said, we're making like a ribbon candy type look. So I wanted it to have that red and white stripes. If you can find ribbon that is double-sided, you won't have to do this part, but mine was only single-sided. So I had 7 yards left over on my roll, just used what I had around the house. And instead of having it double-sided, I'm gonna have to make it double-sided. So basically you just double it up and you put back sides together, pretty sides out, and that is going to basically give you a double-sided ribbon. You just need double the amount of ribbon to do that. Now this is wire, it's 14 gauge. I got this from the hardware store, but even Dollar Tree does carry wire that you can use for this. I wanted something a little bit more substantial, and this was left over from my giant red bows I just made. So I always am going to say, use what you have before you go out shopping. So that's what we're doing here, but Dollar Tree is gonna have these supplies for you as well. So now that we have our wreath ready, we're gonna start folding the ribbon back and forth to get that zigzag pattern. We're gonna do several folds here, and then we're gonna add a little hole to the center of this so we can feed it onto the wire. To make the hole, I am using an awl, which is just basically like a pointy metal pick. I will link this down in the description box below for you, along with all the other supplies I'm going to be using in today's video. But basically, you're just going to puncture a hole in the ribbon and then feed the wire through the hole and continue working little bits at a time until you have all of your ribbon on that wire. Now you'll see here, I do have my hole punch out, but I ended up not using it. I was worried it was gonna make too big of a hole, and you kind of want your ribbon to be able to cling onto the wire so it stays where we put it. We're gonna move all that ribbon to the bottom of the wreath and start working our way out from each side. And as you know, traditional ribbon candy kind of has that wave to it. So the top wave and the bottom wave are gonna touch the wave next to it. So kind of keep that design in mind as you are arranging your ribbon. Now we can connect the top parts of the wire together. I kept them apart just because I wasn't sure how big of a wreath I was going to need once all that ribbon was unfolded. So this last step, you're just gonna twist the top of the wire together, cut off any excess and bend over the edging. We're gonna cover up that with a bow so you don't see it. So this is just a very simple, basic tails down bow. I used wire ribbon to make sure everything would kind of stay where I wanted it once it was all fluffed up. Use some wire to attach that onto the wreath. where we connected them together. Now you'll see I have this on the bottom at first, but I changed my mind once I went to hang it up. You can see on my wreath hanger there, I put the bow at the top and let the tails kind of fall into the middle of the wreath. And once you have it hung up, you can do a little bit more arranging of the ribbon to make sure you kind of have a nice look. It takes some time, but it definitely looks cute, has a fun, funky, whimsical look. And if you want to see how I made that gigantic bow over the door, I'll have that video and tutorial linked down below for you. I'm gonna admit the next two wreaths I'm gonna make are not Dollar Tree. They are actually going to be more beautiful, significant wreaths that my daughter requested. So these two wreaths on the screen, she requested a combination of those two. Since I was making wreaths and making a video about wreaths, I thought I would throw these in here. But I'm still trying to keep this budget friendly too. This wreath was 50% off, so only about $7 for this wreath. I also grabbed some 50% off greenery from Hobby Lobby, and we're gonna put this wreath together with a ribbon that I'll show you here in a little bit. But I have to show you this cool crafting contraption that I use to make my floral wreaths with. It's a hot glue skillet. It has an on and off button. It has temperature adjustments, and basically you turn it on. I always put it at medium first, and it'll melt down your hot glue for you. This is just one of those things that makes wreath making a lot easier, and I love it. So I'll link it down below for you. You can use a regular hot glue gun if you want, but let me show you how this thing works and how I make this wreath. And we're gonna start with this fir greenery. It had these weird little buds on the end that I didn't love, so we're just gonna snip those off, and we're also not gonna use the pine cones that came with it, just this greenery. Now let me show you how this glue skillet works. You just run your end of your greenery in the glue, kind of let it drip off, rub it against the sides so you don't smear it all over the place, and then just tuck it down into your greenery. Very easy to use. I love it, and it's just so much easier than squeezing on a glue gun all the time. And what we're gonna do here is what I suggest is to dry place all of your pieces on your wreath to evenly space it before then coming back and gluing them into place. Next, I'm going to use these leaves. I think they are olive leaves, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to cut these into smaller pieces, dry fit them around the wreath, and then glue them into place. Next up are these eucalyptus leaves. Now these are really big and fluffy, so I'm going to cut these down even smaller. That way I can just kind of tuck a few here and there and it not overwhelm the wreath. So again, dry fitting them in and then hot gluing them into place. We're gonna add even more of the faux fur texture in there with these picks. These are in the wreath section, and you just get one pick and it comes with all these different sprays on it. You cut them apart and then just look how fun and the amount of texture that these little wispies add to the wreath. And last but not least, we're going to add these gold balls. They're more like berry picks from Hobby Lobby, and I like them because they had wire picks on the end of them, so it made it easier to be able to attach these randomly around the wreath. And then I'm going to be using this gorgeous ribbon. It's like a suede and it's double-sided. It has such a rich texture to it without being over the top. It kind of has that luxury look and feel. And I had this because I had used it for my spring wreath and my summer wreath. So I used what I had on hand. I'm pretty sure I got it on Amazon. I'll link it down below for you. It hangs so nicely because it has the weight of that suede on it. And I'm just going to make a simple tails down bow here and use some wire to attach it. And then here's a side by side. The two on the ends were the inspiration and mine is the one in the middle. So my daughter actually requested 2 separate wreaths. This is the second one, but she wanted a red bow. So again, at Hobby Lobby, I found one that was kind of similar, but it didn't match perfectly. So we are going to do some work to this, including the bells. It came with a green ribbon on it, but she wanted a red one. So we're just gonna cut this off and use the wreath as the base and not have to do anything to the base, but we do need to do some work to the bells. So I'm gonna take the bells off of the jute hangers. We're gonna keep the jute though, because we're gonna use that to reattach them. The bells on the inspiration wreath had much more of a gold color, not this like antique brass color. You see, I use my gloves over and over again until they do that, and then they'll go in the trash. But this is still gonna work for this project. I'm gonna use my absolute favorite crafting material right now. It is this gold paint. It's like liquid gold in a bottle, and I am obsessed with it. So it's from Amazon. I'll link it down below. It goes a long way. I have used this for several projects, and you can see there's still a ton left. You don't need a lot. It goes a long way, and it just covers beautifully, and it's gonna transform these bells from an antique look to more of that yellow gold look. And also, I absolutely love it because it dries super fast too, so you can get on with your project. Here are the beautiful bells. I only did 1 coat. It covered just fine for me. I didn't feel like I needed to do a second coat. It still has a little bit of an antique look for it, and I was okay with that. So we're gonna let those dry, and while those are drying, we're gonna make our bow. So she said she wanted a red bow, not that blue one, and I already had this red ribbon from Hobby Lobby too, and we're just going to fit the size. I wanted it to be about the width of the wreath. So just 2 loops on each side. I'm gonna take some wire, tie that up, and then attach the long tails separately with the wire, and then separately attach the center to cover up the wire. And now that our bells are dry, we can reattach them onto that jute hanger that came with our wreath. And now we can put our wreath together. So I'm just gonna use some wire to attach the bells and the ribbon bow at the top here. Now the inspiration piece had a monogram on the ribbon. She wanted that, but she didn't want monogram. She wanted her house number. So I used some white HTV, ironed that onto the bottom of one of the tails of the bow. Looks super cute. I didn't want to, of course, put personal information on this video, so you just have to kind of imagine it, but that would be a cute idea to add a monogram, a last name, or house numbers onto the ribbon. Next, you're gonna grab a pizza pan from Dollar Tree. I want to share with you some of my favorite Dollar Tree wreaths that I've made in the past. The end of this video to give you some more inspiration, especially if you've never seen these before. So we're gonna turn a pizza pan into a wreath, starting with just painting the outside edge. We don't need to focus on the middle at all because we're gonna cover that up with some wrapping paper. You could also do scrapbook paper, totally up to you, but we have probably tons of wrapping paper laying around this time of year. This is a great way to use it. I'm going to trace the bottom round circle on the pizza pan onto the back side of the wrapping paper, just enough to where it is the size of the inside of the circle of the pizza pan. You might have to do some trimming to make sure it completely covers it, and then just use some stick glue to stick that right in the middle. Next, I grabbed out some nautical rope from Dollar Tree, the white kind, and we're going to use that with some hot glue to attach it around the outside edge of the wrapping paper. I will say, here's another great option if you want a smaller sized hot glue gun that is wireless. It is Ryobi. I'll link it down below for you. I love this glue gun too. Check out the wood section at Dollar Tree in their Christmas area. They have lots of cute wood cutouts you can choose from. I thought these ice skates were adorable, so we're going to cut off the jute and give them some color with some paint. We're going to tie these skates up with some new jute so they'll hang from the top of our pizza pan. Do it where the nautical rope meets so we can cover that up so you don't see that. We're going to hot glue on the skates, some more greenery, some pine cones, and then so you're able to hang this onto your wall or your front door. Take some more jute, tie a loop and add a knot at the bottom, cut off the excess, and then hot glue and even tape this onto the back side of the pizza pan. For this next DIY, grab one of these beaded wreaths from Dollar Tree. I love this one. It's simple, easy, quick to make. Of course, we have that beautiful beaded wreath. We don't want to cover all that up, so we're just going to add some greenery to the bottom. You want to add it where the wire meets up in the middle so we can cover that up. This greenery is also from Hobby Lobby in their wreath making section. Super affordable and 50% off right now. We're going to actually use some wire to attach these greenery pieces onto the wreath. And we're actually going to make a double layered bow. So I have some beautiful green velvet ribbon and some candy cane stripe ribbon. We're going to just make loops on each side, crisscross in the middle. That is going to make a really simple bow. So hot glue that together, attach it onto your wreath. We're going to do the same thing with the red and white ribbon. We're going to hang some of these antique bells from the bottom of the wreath too. So I have some twine. I'm just going to feed the bells onto the twine at varying heights and attach that in the center. Then we're going to come back in with some of that green velvet ribbon to cover up the middle of the bows and that twine. This is a super fun wreath. We're gonna need a white Christmas tree from Dollar Tree. We're not gonna need the base. You wanna take off the base if it's still stuck on there. We don't need the plastic pieces. We're gonna flip it upside down, make the back flat, and fluff up the front. You're also going to need a Santa hat from Dollar Tree. We're going to slip that over the post of our Christmas tree, stick it right in the center there, and let the Christmas tree kind of hang out the bottom. We're going to hot glue the hat onto the Christmas tree, and then it's a little bit wide, obviously, so we're going to add some more hot glue onto the back and scale it down to size. Also, add some hot glue to the back side of that ball and glue that down so it doesn't just go flopping all over the place. You're also going to need a small ornament. We're going to tuck that up underneath the hat, let it kind of hang out over the tree, and that is going to be the nose to our Santa Claus. To be able to hang this, you're going to need some ribbon. So again, we're just going to make a loop, tie a knot in the bottom, cut off the excess, and then attach it onto the back side of the hat. I always have my eyes open for a good deal, and this one I couldn't pass up. It is a wreath and after Christmas sale for $1, so even cheaper than Dollar Tree. Had to grab this. It was really pretty, smaller scale sized wreath. We are going to add a Dollar Tree item to it using some floral wire and some hot glue, so make sure to grab yourself one of these kind of flickering flame solar lights, and you can attach it to the center of the wreath. Once you have the light on there, kind of arrange the greenery back over the handle, and then you can add some ribbon and a bow to the front of it to cover it up even more. I love that this is solar powered, so there's no turning switches off and on. You get that flickering candle effect, really cozy. And I love this because this wreath was under $5 to make. Next up, we're going to use 2 sizes of the wire wreath forms from Dollar Tree to make a snowman wreath. I have a baby blanket from the Dollar Tree in a gray and white checkered pattern that I cut up into strips, and then we're going to hot glue that around the wire wreaths. Now that the wreaths are covered, we're going to attach the head onto the body with some hot glue and then use some stiff black felt to make the top hat. Just use some hot glue to attach the hat onto his head, and then of course he's gonna need a scarf, so grab a fleece scarf from Dollar Tree. This is an infinity scarf. We're gonna cut it apart. Just use the amount that we need, cut it down to size after we tie our knot, and then cut some fringe into the end of the fabric to make it look more like a scarf. We're also gonna use some of that extra material to attach onto the hat to give it a little bit of style. I love this wreath because it is so great for Christmas time and actually to be able to use all winter long. And speaking of scarves, this one is taking you way back in time, but this is absolutely one of my favorite wreaths that I've ever made, so it's just like an oldie but a goodie. We're going to use a scarf from Dollar Tree. As you saw, I left some of it hanging off the bottom. The rest of it, we are going to wrap around the rest of the wire wreath. One scarf is not going to be long enough to fill this wreath, so you do need to buy 2 scarves to make the fabric wrap all the way around. We're going to seam them together, so cut the fringe off of one end of both the scarves, and we're going to hot glue the seams together and continue wrapping the scarf around the wreath. Now we're going to take the 2 tails and we're going to tie them together just like you would around your neck to create the scarf effect for this wreath. Now you can leave it as is, or you can come back in and add some greenery to the front of it. I just kind of untied the scarf and retied it over the greenery to hold it in place. This kind of makes it temporary, so if you want to take this apart, you can for other projects in years to come, or you can add some hot glue and make it permanent. And of course, you can keep going with the embellishments, add some pine cones, add some berries like I'm showing you here. Get as creative as you want with whatever supplies you have on hand. I hope that these wreath tutorials inspired you today. If they did, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll have 2 more Christmas videos popping up on your screen. Pick which one is your favorite, head on over, and I'll see you there for more budget-friendly Christmas DIYs. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Have a very happy holiday season.